So we've solved for our penny weight inside of here. Let's see how we can improve on this by solving for another one. So essentially, that first test will determine if it's a penny or not. Let's continue on from that and figure out how we can improve our solution here. Now, the solution is going to be much the same. We need the upper and lower bounds of each one of these guys inside of here. And so let's say if we want to move on to nickel, I could go through, and every time I see the word penny, I can replace it with nickel. And I'm going to even go through and copy and paste this inside of here. Every time I see the word penny, I'm going to replace it with nickel. Over here's a capital nickel here. And every time I see the word nickel, penny, I can replace it with nickel. All right, so this process of fixing the code, the way I'm copying and pasting them like this, immediately tells me I probably have a smarter way to solve this problem. We'll come back to that in a second. I just want to point out that anytime you find yourself mass copying and pasting like this, you got to consider, is there a better way to do this? And we'll see what the better way is in a second. All right, so again, the logic's much the same here. So if it's between all that stuff, I can actually probably go through and just copy and paste all of this and drop this in here, right? So if the weight is, again, between the nickel weight and the upper and lower nickel weight, and then it's between the upper and lower nickel diameter here, then we can return, instead of a penny, a nickel. So this seems pretty easy once I solve the first problem. So nickel now is the number 1. And from our test case we ran before, we can see there's 2 that should be returning back number 1. So now I shouldn't have any errors with number 1 if my code is indeed doing the proper thing and my test cases are good. Oh, yep, and indeed, when I run it, I no longer have errors on my nickel. So that's good. That's a nice little improvement inside of here. I'm solving that, but I don't want to have to copy and paste this and change it for each one of them. That's like some really mundane, silly work, and I end up with this a lot of excess code. So I've solved for nickel. Maybe there's a smarter way in which I can solve for the other two. So when we get to dime and quarter. So instead of just walking through this logic and building it a bit at a time, copying it over, let's see if we can solve that more intelligently.